Hello, and welcome back to the Germany arc of Mirrors. Last time, the band flew to Germany, and Susanna met a guy who gave her a ring who she gave to David, and Andrew has gambling problems, and then David had a vision. That's about the gist of last episode. Let us continue onward with more supernatural stuff. The sunlight coming through the window woke him up. His body still felt somewhat heavy, but he was able to sleep through the entire night. He took a shower and left the room to have breakfast. When he entered the restaurant, he saw Susanna drinking a cup of coffee. He took a seat next to her. Good morning, David. You're up early, I see. It's still 10 a.m. I didn't have any nightmares this time, so I slept well. See, I told you the ring would work. But you do look a little tired. Are you feeling okay? Yeah, I didn't have any nightmares, but I did have some kind of vision. As if I was seeing a recording of ancient times. That sounds interesting. Were you in there? Kinda. There was a man called Hroth. He looked like me, just older. He was some kind of benevolent king, trying to make the world a better place. David told Susanna all he could remember. A benevolent king that looks a lot like you. That's a lovely story. So, what happened with that northern kingdom? Unfortunately, that's when the scene disappeared, and I couldn't summon it again. For some reason, conjuring that footage made me very tired. Maybe you'll see the rest tonight. You should have a hearty meal to build up your stamina. On Susanna's suggestion, David ordered a 1 kilogram steak. The two of them enjoyed their meal together. For reference, that's like 2 pounds. That is a lot of fucking steak. Was there a King of the Hill episode about that? Like somebody ate an astronomical amount of steak? Am I remembering that properly? God, I haven't watched King of the Hill in ages. Weird, the things you think about when you talk over video games. After visiting the venue where they would be performing, the band went to the recording studio that Susanna had arranged for them, where they practiced the new song composed by Martin. This song is just perfect for your voice, David. Now, I was thinking about giving it a house arrangement. House? I guess David could pull that off now. Besides, it is a good idea to try different things. We don't want our fans to get tired of us. Or our slippery accents. Then I'll get working on that ASAP. I want it to be ready for our London performance. I don't know, Martin. The studio's got nothing on the equipment we have in London. Right, Andrew? Honestly, I just want to leave Germany and go back home. Look at you. A few rounds of bad gambling and you're homesick. Whoops, we promised not to talk about gambling. Anyway, let's think about the arrangement when we're back in London. For now, let's keep practicing. Tomorrow's the big day, so don't push yourself even, David. After finishing their practice, the band returned to the hotel. Clark and Vince were inside a car parked behind the hotel, tailing Susanna's movements and not knowing shit about what's actually going on as usual. You know that guy Susanna met at the restaurant? Gogol? Turns out he's a painter. I went to his art gallery to check out his work and, well, I don't see how those paintings could bring home the bacon. Why, you an art critic now? Didn't you tell me his paintings sell like hotcakes the other time? He sells them to rich people, mostly. He's a smooth talker. You said he has a lot of hobbies. Fortune-telling wouldn't happen to be one of them, would it? He has so much time and money to spare that I had to write it all down. Hold on. Ah, there it is. Yeah, turns out he does have some interest in fortune-telling. That man Susanna met in Paris. Flannel, the CEO of that trading company, that's a name? I thought it was just a kind of shirt. I'm learning stuff today. He also buys his... That's not what that word is. He also enjoys his fortune-telling, apparently. Then there's Michael, that fortune-teller Susanna and David saw in Rome. Now that you mention it, I've written down fortune-telling a lot on my notebook. I came up to France, Italy, and now Germany. Alright, let's have the London Association of Detectives look into any links between Susanna and fortune-telling. My gut tells me they'll find something. What about the client who asked us to investigate Susanna? I'll give him a call once we're back in London. Well, it's 2 a.m. They have a concert tomorrow, so I doubt they're doing anything tonight. Let's go. As Clark and Vince drove off, David was in his room, the lights turned off. He was focusing on the silhouette of his hand, trying to perceive that aura once more. He really wanted to see what happened to Hroth, the man who looked so much like him. He couldn't bear to stay 1 second longer than necessary in that studio. Finally, his focus paid off. A white dot appeared in the darkness, slowly becoming larger and larger, until he could see a scenery projected on the ceiling. He saw the castle from the previous night, but it was surrounded by an army and engulfed in flames. The images changed. He could see a stone passage. There was King Hroth, held up by Lefir and a woman. David was startled by what he saw. The woman was a dead ringer for Susanna. My liege, are you alright? Susanna, you did give him the right antidote, didn't you?
Of course I did. I concocted it myself. It should prove effective soon.
I can't believe Horkai would poison our king. We all knew the King of the North had eyes on our kingdom, but I was not expecting Horkai of all people to betray us.
If only our king hadn't been poisoned, he could have used his dark arts to prevent the army of the North from approaching.
There's no point in dwelling on... Ah! The king is waking up.
I thought I was already on my way to the afterlife.
Where am I? My liege, you were poisoned by Horkai. He's betrayed us. The people of the North are attacking. The castle is burning. Susanna and I were able to get you to safety through the secret passage. So the water of life Horkai gave me was poisoned. The King of the North must be afraid of my dark arts. He'll never stop pursuing me until he confirms my death. We must get away from here, and fast. Surely the other kings will assist you. I feel better now. The antidote was your work, Susanna, correct? Your talent never ceases to amaze me. We're almost out. When the North Army was in sight, I asked Fenrir to gather some troops and defend this exit. We should be fine. As they neared the exit, a man approached them, with some soldiers in tow. Ah, Fenrir. Thank you for coming. Our liege was poisoned by Horkai. We barely escaped with our lives. What's the situation out there? There are no enemies out there, but I'm afraid I'll be taking the king's life myself. Fenrir thrust his sword through Lefir's heart. Susanna desperately held the king in her arms. These lands already belong to the North. Hroth may be a powerful sorcerer normally, but that poison turned him into a feeble, powerless man. Stay back, Susanna, or I'll have to kill you with him.
Fenrir, you traitor! If you want to take his life, then you'll have to take mine as well.
At that moment, King Hroth stood up on his own, moving away from Susanna. You called me a feeble, powerless man, Fenrir. How about I show you how wrong you are? That's sound warning, by the way. Hroth pointed his fingers towards Fenrir's head. Fenrir dropped his sword and fell to the ground, gripping his forehead. His men ran away in a panic. Actually, that wasn't nearly as loud as when I did my test reading of this. Weird. Fenrir, that scar on your forehead will be inherited by your descendants. Your lineage is forever branded as the blood of the betrayer. Hroth and Susanna left Fenrir writhing on the ground and went through the exit. As David watched the scene, his strength was steadily draining. Before long, the images faded away, leaving David panting heavily. I can't breathe. I need those pills. David's arm felt heavy like lead as he stretched it towards the phone. He called Susanna, asking her to bring him the medicine. Susanna knocked at his door. David used the little strength he had left to get up and open the door. Susanna held him up and brought him back to bed before giving him the medicine.
You've been summoning those visions again.
Yeah. It was more tiring than I thought. Any more and I might have actually died.
I'm not going to let you die.
In the vision, King Hroth's lands were invaded by the King of the North. He was forced to run away.
That man who looks a lot like you, right? But you said he could use a special power, the dark arts. How could he lose?
A man called Horkai poisoned him, so he couldn't use his powers. King Hroth survived only thanks to a woman who gave him an antidote. A woman who looked a lot like you, Susanna.
Could she be the same Susanna from your other dream?
Now that you mention it, in that dream there was also a man called Horkai. That was also the name of the house with the coat of arms that we found. Maybe there's a connection.
Was this Horkai the only traitor?
No, there was another. Fenrir, who killed Lafir as they were escaping. King Hroth used his powers to give him a scar on his forehead. He said something about his descendants inheriting the scar, that his lineage would be branded as the blood of the betrayer.
A scar on his forehead, huh? I wonder if his descendants do have that scar.
I doubt it. You don't inherit scars from your parents, you know. Besides, these visions are something from a time long gone.
Oh, you're looking better now. These are just bland sleeping pills and vitamin supplements, but they're like energy drinks to you.
Believe it or not, these pills do wonders for me. I can feel power surging from within, which is a normal sentence for a human being to say.
This was the last of the pills, though. Oh, I know. I'll have the hospital here contact the hospital in Paris and have them send the prescription. I'll take care of it tomorrow.
Please do. I think I might lose my mind without them.
You'll be fine for tonight. Now stop looking at those visions, okay? They're not good for your health.
After making sure David was feeling alright, Susanna left the room. Due to his exhaustion, David woke up the next day at about 2 p.m. Mood. He went down in the lobby, looking for his friends. The other 3 band members were there.
Jeez, what happened to you? It's 2 p.m., David. You do remember that we have a concert tonight, yes?
Sorry. It's not nightmares, it's sleepiness. My head is still foggy from all that sleeping. I need coffee. David went to the counter in the lobby. Man, when it's not nightmares, it's sleepiness. Well, at least he got a full night worth of rest. I have to say, David is like a different man. He wasn't like this back in England.
These kinds of things happen in the music world. One day you hit it big and become a star. Maybe we'll change too. Who knows?
When we cash in the money after the last concert in London, I'd like to take a vacation. We've been working ourselves to the bone this year. David came back. Sorry I took so long. The girl... Blah 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 blah. Sometimes you just flub a sentence for no real reason, you know? Anyway, let me try that again. Sorry I took so long. The girl at the counter wanted an autograph. Alan, is everything ready at the venue?
Yeah, it's all set up as usual. Susanna said she'd go there ahead of us, so I'm sure she's taking care of everything. We have to leave in about 1 hour.
David and his friends chatted in the lobby, relaxing their nerves for the upcoming performance. Meanwhile, Clark and Vince were walking in the Romerberg Square. I should have looked up how to pronounce that. They were tailing Susanna and Gokul. Someone with a scar on their forehead. That's not a lot to go on. Besides, we don't even know if they're in Germany.
The Devil King can only see visions of people and places connected to his current location. That means this person with the scar on their forehead must be here.
I know you're busy with the concert, so I'll look for this person myself. I'll ask around. I actually know a lot of people. Gokul handed to Susanna a paper bag containing pills, and then they parted ways. Clark and Vince kept tailing Susanna.
Are you sure we shouldn't follow that Gokul fellow?
Yeah, he only came here to give her that bag. I'd really like to know what's in it, but that's gonna be hard.
A wiretap isn't going to be useful if your mark is walking in a park, huh? I'd really like to have a compact, high-directional microphone right now.
A directional microphone? I'll look into it. That said, I wonder what's so important that she needed to get it now, a few hours before the concert.
What if it's drugs? The whole concert thing could just be a front for drug trafficking.
Nice one, but that bag is too small for trafficking. Well, we'll see. Clark and Vince kept tailing Susanna. And so began their first performance in Germany. The crowd was even more excited than it was during their concert in Italy. The band was getting more and more into it. David's energy reached new peaks. Even Martin, the calmest member of the band, was yelling. The venue was full of excited energy, both above and below the stage.
Forget the ballad, David. Let's keep this energy flowing.
Alan approached David to talk to him.
I had the same idea. I'll go tell Andrew.
Without skipping a beat, David approached Andrew. No way! Things are getting way too hot as it is. We're doing a ballad next. Go tell Alan. Andrew was seemingly the only member to have kept a modicum of sanity, perhaps due to a sense of responsibility as problem solver of the band. The audience left their seats and started crowding the stage. Several women collapsed and were trampled over. The staff pushed the crowd away and helped the women. The concert continued without any serious injuries. The band played a ballad. The audience returned to their seats. While the amount of excitement was still high, it was slowly waning. Seeing some of their fans collapse seemingly woke up the band members from their trance, who then used every trick to contain the excitement of their fans and end the concert without incidents. The band returned to their waiting room, wiping the sweat off their faces.
Good work, guys. Whew, we almost had to interrupt the concert.
Yeah, I was in a cold sweat. David, Alan, we'll have to try not to get so carried away next time.
But David needs to do that or the audience won't get excited. I know we can't let them get too crazy, but is it really a concert if they're not having fun?
I mean, even Martin was going crazy tonight. I'm almost afraid to think of the future.
I couldn't help it. That's just what happens when you listen to David singing.
Damn straight. You can't tell me to keep it down. What am I supposed to do, plug my ears? I'm pretty sure you were into it yourself, Andrew. Are you saying it's my fault the audience started collapsing? I was trying to restrain myself. I'm trying to avoid the worst case scenario here. But you have no self-control. Come on, guys, don't fight over this. It was mostly my fault anyway. From now on, I promise to follow your song order, okay, Andrew?
Alright, let's get you back to the hotel. You're going to feel better after a shower.
After returning to the hotel and taking a shower, the band was able to celebrate the success of the concert with some beer. Once the fatigue of the concert caught up to them, they all returned to their rooms. Tired from all the excitement, David went to bed, forgetting about the temptation of the visions. The next day, the band took a bus towards their next concert site, West Berlin. They reached their hotel, aptly called Berlin, in the evening. Their concert would be held 2 days later. The band was chatting in a luxurious meeting room that Susanna had arranged for them. Question, what is this thing in the middle here? Like this black shape? I can't tell. The image is too low res. Is it another couch? Maybe. We must be making a killing with this tour. Look at this fancy room. Remember when we could barely afford business hotels and had to survive on instant food? I hope we can keep getting along even as we get famous. The moment one of us leaves the band, Eleno Vision is over. It's going to be fine. We went through a lot of crap together, you know. Anyway, how about we check out the Berlin Wall tomorrow? It might not be there the next time we come to Germany. It's interesting to think about. This game does take place in 1980X, and the Berlin Wall came down in the 90s. The early 90s specifically. I think I was like 2 when they finally finished demolishing it. Anyway.
Oh, I'm definitely going. I've always wanted to see it with my own eyes.
At that moment, there was a knock on the door, and Susanna came in.
Oh, you're still up. Listen to this. I just heard there's going to be a charity magic show at the Bristol Hotel tomorrow night. I was able to get 5 tickets. How about it? There won't be many guests, so you should be able to relax without being bothered.
There won't be many guests since it's for charity, but I can't imagine it's going to be very interesting. You can't do elaborate tricks inside a hotel.
Oh, it won't be simple magic tricks. Apparently it's some kind of super magic show, like ESP. I've never seen it myself, but those who saw it claim there's no way they're simple tricks. Oh, I've always been interested in ESP. Who's going to perform? Horgan Crost. Apparently he hates television, so he will only appear on a live stage. Crost? I've read about him. They say he's the man with the third eye, that he has psychic powers. Since he can't use those powers to make money, he pretends they're magic tricks instead. How about it, David? You don't see actual superpowers every day.
If we're all going, I'm coming too. I've seen a lot of magic tricks in my life, but actual psychic powers? That would be a first.
Sure, I'm game. I gotta see these so-called psychic powers. Honestly, I don't really believe in ESP and the like.
It's probably a scam, but it's not like I have anything better to do, so why not?
Okay then. We're leaving tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock. I've never seen an Esper before, so I'm looking forward to it.
The hotel where Eleno Vision was staying wouldn't turn off the lights until late in the night. The next day, the band went to see the Berlin Wall. And that's all we're going to say on that, apparently. They were back to the hotel at 6 o'clock, where Susanna was waiting for them. After changing their clothes, they got into a taxi and headed to Hotel Bristol. They arrived at Hotel Bristol. The bellboy guided them to the charity show, where a table for 5 had been reserved for them. The other guests were wearing tuxedos and fancy dresses, conversing in a hushed voice. Classical music was being played at a suitably low volume. They too were haunted by the ghost of Eric Satie wherever they went.
Thank God we got changed. They would have turned us away at the door if we were still wearing our day clothes. I told you this was a prestigious hotel. Of course you dressed formally for a charity show.
I shouldn't have come. I had no idea it would be this fancy.
You know, once we're back in London, if you're ever awarded a platinum record, you'll have to attend even fancier events. You have to get used to at least this much.
If we work even harder and have successful tours in America and Japan, a platinum record is actually a real possibility. Excuse me, I don't know if you heard that. I hope you didn't.
You guys being awarded one is one of my dreams. Now then, let's eat. They won't bring us anything else unless we finish our plates.
As new dishes were being brought, the stage darkened to the sound of drums and cymbals. Then Horgan Crost, the magician, appeared under the spotlight. After a quick greeting, he picked up a cup from the table. As you can see, there are 2 identical glasses here. I will put one of them on your table, dear guest. As about half of the guests were foreigners, he had an assistant translating for him. Crost approached the nearest table, put the glass down, and returned to the stage. Now, I will place a coin inside the remaining glass. He dropped the large coin in the glass, which ringed loudly. Once the ringing subsided, the coin had vanished. Then, the guest from the nearest table shrieked. David and his friends turned that way, and were surprised by what they saw. There was a coin inside the supposedly empty glass. The coin had moved from one glass to the other.
The glass on the stage is too far away from that table. This can't be just a trick. But the coin definitely changed places. Martin, is this ESP?
You said it yourself. It wasn't a trick or a sleight of hand, so it has to be psychic powers.
I still can't believe it. Maybe we just didn't notice. If he did it one more time, maybe.
Stressed, possibly out of being out of his element, Alan was unusually drunk on German wine. I am not doing a drunk English accent. My regular English accent is already bad. I'm sorry. Krost held out his hands to stop the applause. Some people here seem to think that the glasses were rigged. This time, I'm going to pour water into my glass. See the truth for yourselves. Krost poured water into his glass. It was clearly flowing, but strangely enough, it wouldn't actually fill the glass. Observe. I'm pouring water into my glass, but it's filling the glass on the guest's table. Do you still believe this to be a trick?
That bastard! Ain't no such thing as psychic powers. There's got to be a trick. It's an illusion.
Calm down, Alan. We came here to see psychic powers, and that's what we got. Why are you even mad? Quit making a scene. People are staring. Once he realized the other guests were staring at him, Alan turned red. ESP are amazing. The water moved from one glass to the other. It must be some kind of warp. If he used even more power, that kind of ability would be incredibly useful.
See that scar on Krost's forehead? They say it's his third eye. It's rumored that's where his psychic powers come from.
That's right. Right now it's closed, but I read he can unleash incredible powers when his third eye opens up. The next trick is called the Devil's Curse. This ball will fly through the air. Once it finds a demon, it will light up and attack it. The ball he was holding began to float. The audience gasped. It zigzagged throughout the hall, approaching every table. Eventually, it reached David's table, stopping on top of Alan. Loud sound warning. The ball emitted an intense light and also noise, like a camera flash.
Son of a... Is he calling me a demon?
In a fit of anger, Alan slapped the ball away. Ah, thank God. The ball fell to the floor, rolling noisily. God, that's loud on my ears. Are you sober now, sir? The demon thing was but a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our good-humored friend. Krost approached the table to pick up the ball. He said something in German and then returned to the stage. Next, I would like to show you what I call super magic. However, nothing will happen if my third eye remains closed, in which case I beg your pardon beforehand. My assistant is sitting on the floor. If my third eye opens, I will make her levitate and float around the hall. Please, be quiet for a moment as we merge our minds. Krost closed his eyes. Can we leave soon, Susanna? I'm not sure why, but I feel a pain in my chest when I look at him.
He's definitely a great artist, but I must admit he's not my type of man. Let's just leave. He's just flaunting his supposed superpowers. This isn't fun at all. This wasn't very entertaining, but I still like to see his third eye open. Since Krost hates photos, there's not one picture of his third eye in books.
I'm also not feeling that great, but I agree with Martin. Let's take a look at that third eye of his before leaving. Still under the spotlight, something was changing on Krost's forehead. The scar was changing, transforming into an eye. David felt increasingly frustrated as he stared into Krost's third eye. The third eye blinked, if only slightly. Once, twice. After blinking 3 times, the third eye was faintly visible. Then, blood began to flow from Krost's third eye. Blood kept flowing unceasingly. Krost was rolling around in his own blood, writhing in pain. The spotlight was turned off, and Krost was carried outside by several men. The audience murmured uneasily, wondering what exactly had just happened. The hotel manager came up on the stage holding a microphone. Unfortunately, as Krost failed to open his third eye, he won't be able to continue the show. As such, we must bring an end to tonight's charity show. As the manager frantically apologized, the guests left the venue, one by one. The car Clark and Vince were driving stopped in front of Hotel Bristol.
Looks like we missed our plans to check out that charity show.
Krost's magic show, huh? Nah, Susanna's probably just playing around. We can wait for them here.
Is Horgan Krost famous or something? Can't say I ever heard of the guy.
I didn't know about him either, but I asked around. He's somewhat known here in Germany. The magician with the third eye.
Look, Chief. There's a crowd forming at the entrance. They're all well dressed, so I'm guessing they're guests from that charity show. Did something happen?
Without replying, Clark got out of the car and entered the hotel. Rude. He returned a few moments later. Seems that Krost failed to open his third eye and release his psychic powers. Whatever that means. They had to cancel the show. Susanna and the boys should be out soon, so keep your eyes open.
Does he actually have a third eye on his forehead? Man, that's gotta suck. Thank God I'm not a psychic.
Start the engine, Vince. They're getting into their taxis. The band got in 2 taxis and left. Clark and Vince tailed them. The taxi stopped in front of Hotel Berlin. They got off and went inside. After regrouping in the meeting room, they started talking about Krost.
Ha! Serves him right!
That sure was a lot of blood. At first I thought it was part of the performance.
Losing that much blood's bound to kill you. Not that I'd mind. Alan, fuck. Don't be that callous. Even if he survives, he probably won't be able to open his third eye again. Losing that much blood would scar you for life. Then I guess we actually saw something amazing.
Maybe we're espers too. You know, the way we make people lose their minds by listening to our music. So much that they could even get hurt if we're not careful.
Maybe you are. I mean, you're doing something that is impossible for others. In that sense, there are many espers in the world.
What's wrong, David? You look pale. It was all that blood, wasn't it? I remember witnessing a car accident when I was a kid. There was a lot of blood. I couldn't eat for days. I don't know. I guess watching Krost suffering in a pool of his own blood left a bad impression on me.
Maybe you should go to bed if you're not feeling well. Don't forget, you have your last European concert tomorrow. You have to take care of yourself.
I'll be fine. Can anyone hand me a beer? I'll feel better after a drink. Man, we're at the end of our tour, huh? We're almost back in London. After various empty beer cans were piled up on the table, the band members returned to their room. Aw, no slumber party. As David approached his bed, he felt a hint of dizziness. I was feeling good the entire day, but everything went downhill after I saw Krost's blood. Just as he was starting to feel anxious about the next day's concert, there was a knock at the door. It was Susanna, calling for him. David didn't have the keys with him, so Susanna opened the door herself and walked in.
I figured you'd be tired, so I brought you your favorite pills.
I admit I have been feeling tired after that show. Thanks, I'll take them. David took the pills.
Tomorrow will be the last concert in Germany. Hang in there, David.
You know, I've been wondering, is it possible that Krost is a descendant of Fenrir, that man from the vision I saw? He had a scar on his forehead. It could just be a coincidence, but when blood started flowing from his forehead, that made me think. At that moment, I was mad at him for the way he made fun of Alan. I glared at that third eye of his in anger. If the visions are true, and the blood of King Hroth does flow in my veins, maybe I'm the reason he started losing blood.
Did you feel like you were using some special powers, like King Hroth did?
No, I didn't actually feel anything special. Maybe I'm just overthinking this.
You probably are. Anyway, I like you better as a musician than an Esper.
Me too. I'm not going to turn into King Hroth or something. Still, I feel like there's something I'm not seeing, and it's driving me a little crazy. I haven't had any nightmares since coming to Germany. Maybe it's because I've been dreading them so much. I feel like I could have nightmares tonight. They always come when I'm feeling tired in this weird way. Susanna, won't you stay with me until morning?
Now, David, you're acting like a scared child. I'm not your mother, you know.
Susanna smiled teasingly at David as she started undressing.